All right. It being the hour of 7 o'clock, I will call the meeting to order. I think, Betsy, do you think you have most of the people who are present?
Yes. Looks like there's only 8. Oh, maybe not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
I have 10
Yeah.
people present.
Yep, I've got them so far.
Yep. Awesome. Our first order of business is to approve the minutes of our last meeting, which I have here somewhere. I carefully tried to make all this stuff. Here we go. Cue it all up, and then I didn't do it right. Here we go. So these are the minutes of our last meeting. And I'm pretty sure that other members of the select board have had a chance to review them. I have an edit, but I'm open to other edits that people would like to make. So I know I happened to watch the recording a little bit, and we talked about that these things were recorded. Oh, I see. The link to access it is there. Okay, that's fine. Thank you. You should also, Betsy, you might also mention in those announcements, it's on neatbristol.com, N-E-A-T,
Okay.
bristol.com.
Steve, was there a change that you wanted in these minutes? This is John.
John, you got something really bad going on there.
Ow, that hurts.
I don't think that's me.
Yeah, it was you.
I haven't changed anything, and it's not doing it now.
All right. In any case, I guess it's okay the way it is. What people will see when they click on it is they'll end up at neatbristol.com. That's Northeast Addison TV. Are there any edits? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes as written.
So moved. This is John.
Thank you, John.
Second, Bill.
Thank you, Bill. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Yes, select board only on those. And all those opposed say nay. And abstentions. So that passes unanimously. Thank you very much. The next order of business is to look at some of the warrants that we have. I've got those queued up as well. I guess I would start with the oldest one first. I think we've all had a chance to look at these. Are there any issues that we'd like to discuss?
Yep.
If there's no issues, then I would again entertain a motion to approve this warrant that we're currently looking at, which is warrant number 00430.
Hey,
AP 00.
AP.
Steve, what's the amount?
Thank you very much. The amount of this warrant is 48734.83. Do you not have copies of these, Betsy?
I don't. You can just send them to me later,
Okay.
because
We're
I'll work on them tomorrow.
Okay. In any case, was there a motion to approve that warrant?
Bill moved.
Thank you, Bill.
John, second.
John, thank you. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving the AP warrant number 00430, please indicate by saying aye.
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 And
Aye.
opposed? And abstentions? Thank you, that passes unanimously. Let's kill that one. There you go, you gotta be smarter than the tool to use it. The next one is an AP warrant number 00507 for the amount of, for a total of $39,892.62.
I'll move to approve. This is John.
Second, Bill.
All right,
Can't do three things at once.
I'm sorry.
Watch that, can't read it, can't watch that.
We have a visitor.
Somebody ought to suggest that she mute, or we can mute for her. The host can mute for her.
There you go.
I missed who seconded that. Was it Paul or Bill?
That was Bill.
Bill.
Bill. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. So I was just taking a look. Too funny. Too funny. We're still spending money on constable dues. I find it,
$20.
yeah. Is there any discussion on this warrant? All those in favor of approving the AP warrant number 00507, please indicate by saying aye.
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 And
Aye.
opposed? And abstentions? Thank you. That passes unanimously as well. And finally, we have a payroll warrant number 00511. And same thing, I would entertain a motion to approve this warrant.
So
Can you read
moved.
that?
Yes, I'm sorry, it's a payroll warrant
Yep.
number 00511.
The amount?
The net amount,
I can't read. It's too little. It's hard to read.
and I have to do a little math.
No, it's down. Bottom left, isn't it? Well, go up.
No, it's not.
In the left, isn't that 11,000 something? Go to the left.
It would have to be 11,000 something.
Right there.
11,000.
Oh, there it is. Go through.
11,034.
That's correct.
you.
Thank you very much. I never knew that that was there. $11,034.34.
Thanks.
And is there a motion?
Bill moves.
Mary Kate, second.
Thank you. All those in favor of approving the payroll warrant number 00511, please indicate by saying aye.
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 And opposed? And abstentions? Thank you. So for the guests, the reasons why normally we would pass those warrants around at a meeting and look through them and sign them. Instead, we have to go through this sort of procedure and then we sign them after the fact digitally. Anyway. Okie dokie. Overweight permits. I didn't even bring them up. Bill, have you looked at the overweight permits?
I signed them all this afternoon, and I know that Sharon sent the list of them to at least Betsy. I think she sent them to all of us, but Betsy has it.
Yep, I have them.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can't.
Yeah, she
There
sent
were
them to all of
9.
us.
Thanks, son. I'll warm it up later.
9.
Sorry.
Yep.
All right. Public comment. So I have it's 7:09. Is there any public comment? I see that we have quite a number of guests here. All right, hearing none, I will,
Can I ask who Linda's third fire is?
I have no idea.
Have they chimed in at all?
They started to and I muted them.
Maybe we should unmute them and get a name for the record.
Sure. I can unmute them. Linda's Third Fire, can you tell us who you are?
John Phillips.
Thank you,
Hey, John.
John. Thank you very much. So we're on to the business of reviewing of the financial audit for 2019. I'm not expecting the board to go through the entire audit information, but we are given by the accountant, Pace Hawley, by Nathan Hawley. They write directly to the select board as a result of the audit. The financial audit itself has already been given over to the Vermont Bond Bank. I don't know, has anyone had a chance to read these?
I read all through it, and the only two things that I noted, so on page 16, clause number 15, they're pointing out that the highway budget seems to be their spending seems to be way ahead, but that probably has to do with sand and salt, this time of the year.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
other thing is in their letter of recommendation at the back on page 2, they strongly recommend that we have separate accounts rather than pooled funds for capital expenses, ANAC, all the things that are separate. It sounds kind of complicated. It would be a lot of work.
So what he said, what I heard from him was that's one way to do it, a separate bank account for reserve funds. The other thing we can do is we can extend what's normally like Article 11 at town meeting day. The one that says allowing the select board shall the voters authorize the select board to borrow money from time to time and pledge the credit of the town of Moncton from the past and present indebtedness as may be necessary for them. The thing that allows us to go out and borrow tax anticipation notes. There was a suggestion made that I think is probably worthwhile, that we should ask the voters for permission to use the reserve funds rather than always going out and being forced to go out for a tax anticipation note.
When you say permission to use, I assume you mean borrow from, not use for some
Exactly.
other purpose permanently.
Yes, that we can use it as the reserve funds to help liquidity between the time when we pass the budget and when we start collecting taxes, at which time we would pay it back. I don't have the wording that we are going to want in front of me. Something we'll take up when we draft those articles in November.
Yeah.
The capital asset policy, I think that Kathy Nolan is going to generate something for us. It's sort of, a capital asset policy is, what do we pay attention to in terms of capital asset? How much of our infrastructure? I'm not interested in tracking every a culvert, for instance. Only culverts over, say, $50,000 and depreciate them. So I don't believe the select board's asked to sign this. It's just that we're, I think, asked to recognize that we received that financial audit. Is there any more discussion? All right. So for my next, our next order of business is appointments. I'm trying to see if Gary Strait, who indicated he wanted to be, yeah, I don't see him yet, who indicated he wanted to be on the planning commission and attended a planning commission meeting, and Marilyn wrote to us indicating that they would be very excited to have him as a member. I would defer making that appointment until such time as he's available for the select board. So if he shows up, we'll backtrack to this particular item. Who else is around? I don't see Renee, and this is really her. She asked,
Steve,
yes, sir.
sorry, before you go on, I've made multiple attempts to reach the person who said they'd be our animal control officer, both in email, phone, and text, and I'm getting nothing. So I think we have that problem back again.
Yeah, well, let's take it up under, as I say, other business.
Okay,
She is, she's listed as a member of the staff at Chittenden Humane Society,
correct.
which is supposedly open on Tuesdays. When I can remember, I'll call over there. But thank
One other, before we get off of appointments,
yes, ma'am.
we had a request from Sam, from ANAC, that Sam and Nora Wolf wanted to switch who is alternate and who's primary.
So that's do we want to make formal action on that? You asked me. Is that
I would assume it's a matter of an appointment or changing an appointment or something.
Okay.
So I think we need to, because I don't think in the past we've ever said a committee would just change it on their own. It makes record keeping a pain in the butt if they do change it on their own, because they don't always tell me to update the list.
So John, make a motion and we'll just, that's pure bookkeeping.
Okay, I'll look up, I want to get the terms here. Just got to find ANAC. So I move that we switch Sam Burr on the ANAC committee from a full member to an alternate, and switch Nora Wolf from alternate to full member, keeping their original expiration dates.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that. Mary Kate?
Mary Kate, thank you very much. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? And abstentions. Betsy, you okay with that? All right, good. Thank you. So Renee asked to put on the agenda a town hall bond reduction options. I have no idea. She sent me no materials. I think unless some of the other guests would like to take this issue up, I would rather wait for Renee to take this issue up. So we'll just table that one. We'll come back to it if Renee is present. Our next one is draft easements between the town of Moncton and the Moncton Ridge Association. Let me just, before I bring those easements up so we can look at them, supposedly I have them somewhere. This is sort of a little bit of context. Rather than a shared use agreement, as just an agreement, this is actually Kevin Brennan, who is the attorney for the Moncton Ridge Church Association, drafted these two easements. The first easement is an easement allowing the town access to their well. and making the town of Moncton responsible for the maintenance of a public water source and really maintenance of the well in its entirety. Obviously continuing to supply water to the church. The second easement is part of this deal, which is to allow the church access to a location where they could have a wastewater system in the event that their wastewater system fails. As you might know, the church is sitting on a very small lot. It's not clear if their wastewater system were to fail, what their options would be. So it's all part of the same thing. I think that there's a fairly lengthy process for the town to grant easements onto town land. The obverse is probably not the case. Why don't I see that? Here we go. Okay. You guys are kind of so big. Easement, church to town, we'll do that one first because it's easy. I think it's easy. Okay. And Mary Kate, have you had a chance to look at these?
Sorry, unmuting. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems fine.
You know, we took a look at it. I was on the line with the board of the Moncton Ridge Church Association, and we sort of found this one loophole about a replacement well and where it might exist, and to make sure that they would have access to it. So we added a little bit of text. So what would happen is if we were, so I guess I would open it first to ask, is there any discussion of this easement?
I had a question, Steve. I don't know if you've already addressed this or not, but can we approve this now, or do we have to go through some granting rights to town land sort of procedure?
So this is an easement to us.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So the easement to us is really their board of directors just has to sign. You know,
Yeah.
Kevin Brennan has to make a final copy of it, and their board of directors has to sign it.
Yeah.
The one where we give an easement, yes, I think we have to go through, publishing it in the paper, warning it, holding a public meeting, the whole thing.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last easement we did. I think it was a conservation easement or something where
Yeah.
we had to do that.
And so I'm assuming this one is subject to the eventual approval of the easement to them.
It doesn't say that, no, but
Well,
it is.
basically, they're not going to sign it until that happens, or
There you go. That's the way I would. That's how I would advise them.
yeah.
It's an easement to us, but at the bottom of page 1, we're also granting an easement for a replacement well to be on town property.
Well, potentially. That's a text to that just added, and I had not thought that wrinkle through. Thank you, Bill. So we should probably take both of these up through our process.
Yeah, good point.
So is it out of line do we need to indicate to them an agreement in principle or something subject to this, or is that not
No,
necessary?
I think they should. Hey, Kevin, you happen to be on the line. Can I ask you?
He's muted now, Gary.
That's right. So Kevin, it sounds like because there's a chance that we would get, the town of Moncton would get involved as well, just because we might end up having a well on our land as a replacement well. I think it would be, would it be out of line for us to just also have a signature page down here?
Let me look at that language. Can you go up a little so I can just look?
Well, we can take it offline too.
Yeah. You wouldn't need to there. I might propose a slight change to the language that you had. You wouldn't need to sign it, but let me make a little change
Okay,
and then I'll resend it to you. Sure.
that sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kevin, just a spelling thing, right? So in that new language, it should be giving, ing, instead of given.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Mary.
And then we got grantor already identified at the beginning, so maybe changing that to, because the grantor in the replacement easement could be either the town or the church, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
That's a good point. I'll tweak that some.
thanks.
Sorry about that. You should never let non-lawyers pretend to write legal language.
I'm curious, when was the last time we had a water quality test by the well at the church?
I did one about a month ago.
Okay.
A good question. I mean, before we started this process, the first part of it was I went and did a test of that well.
Was it a bacteria test or a complete thing?
The complete
Yeah.
thing.
Minerals.
I could bring it up for you, but yes, I think we should. Well, I think I shelled out about $300 to make it happen because it was just like, yep, let's go find out. All right. Since we didn't own the well and they didn't have any money, it seemed like the only way to get it done. So I think the board would want to have a look at the final deed, but this is a good piece of data there. Is there?
Do you need a go-ahead to, if it's done before our next meeting or everything, do you need to go ahead to start whatever the official notification processes are? Would you just going to start doing, do you want to wait for the next meeting to start that, or is there any urgency behind this? Or?
I don't think we have anything in documentation to make a vote on it at this moment.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. We have to, and I don't think we're pushing the bounds anyway, John. I think
Yeah.
it'll be fine.
It's not an urgent.
Nope. Well,
Not on the
but
critical
hopefully at our next meeting we'll have a final to look at. We'll start the process. We'll adopt both. Well, maybe not this one, perhaps there's, but the other one, and start the hearing process. Do you guys want to look at the deed from the town to the church next? You done with this one?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Maybe it's on the plans and I didn't see them, but is the area for their replacement septic identified?
We have, as part of our, you're gonna make me go find this, but I can find it for you if you.
No, as long as it's identified.
It's on our wastewater. Our wastewater permit has a replacement mound system identified.
For the church.
Now, do we necessarily know that would be approved by the wastewater folks? We don't.
No, my question is more in giving them a certain reserved area. Did it eliminate any possibility of a replacement septic should the town hall one fail? Which I hope it never would.
Yeah.
We didn't give
the
up
old-
our only other place, did we?
So I'll bring up the site plan. Let me-
That's usually standard procedure for a second site.
It used to be, and they don't require it anymore.
No, you're right. No, I think it's developing and changing rapidly.
So the town hall septic permit itself is built to 150% capacity, so there's no need for replacement?
That's true.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I believe that's true. I mean, Bill, I should probably check with the powers that be. Let's see, here is,
Oh, no,
this is a site plan. This is our current site plan, but I don't believe that this will show the replacement.
It does have it on there, Stephen.
Does it?
yeah,
You just have to be smarter than I am to see it. All right, here we go.
Are you talking about a replacement for the town septic or a replacement for the
So
church's septic?
we got the answer is that we got a wastewater permit as part of the subdivision from the Bean property next door. And that's a wastewater permit that we're still running on. Wastewater 91048. And in it had a replacement mound system, disposal system that's marked right here.
That's a replacement for the town hall's system, isn't it?
Yes, must be.
Yeah, no, yeah, it can't be the church.
So
No.
that was my question. Do we need to designate another one, or are we just saying we'll figure it out if your system fails?
I think we're saying we'll figure it out. It's certainly better to try and put one on our 6 acres than on their, 1/10 of an acre. If you guys, yeah. So that was yes.
So maybe we should look at this again at the next meeting, before the next meeting, go through this again, because I'm not sure I understand it. The water, I understand, but the septic is not something I thought was part of we were covering the church.
Can I chime in, Steve? This is Kevin.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so the existing permit is the primary end replacement for the town building. There has been no site work or test pit work done for a second replacement, which would be for the church. So the way it's drafted now, if at any time the church needs a replacement, a permit would have to be obtained. And they would have to, at that point, get test pits done over on the town land to get a design for a system that would qualify.
Okay.
And that is going to be, it's going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. But it's certainly better than, what they're looking at the moment. Right? Right now, they're running on a 100-year-old cesspool. So, which probably is never going to fail. It's not like they have a huge wastewater stream. They don't. But in any case, so I need to understand what the board would want for further information.
I guess my only concern is that we not give up our replacement site if the church's fails next year. We're not giving them our the site that's planned for the town hall. It's up to them to find their own spot, do test pits or whatever and find a spot for it.
Okay,
Yeah, I agree with that.
okay.
The state wouldn't allow that either. The state wouldn't allow, you are required to have a replacement system. So if the church has failed, they may have to do a best fix, but they would have to locate something else. That the state wouldn't let them take your replacement.
Yeah, that's probably true. And yeah, and yeah, if you were to go out and resample this property for a wastewater system, the one we currently have may or may not, be adequate. They have to see. The regulations change, it seems to me, on every 2 or 3 year basis.
Hey, Stephen, can I add one thing?
Sure.
I was just going to say that I think, what we're playing here, right, is just to provide the church with an option down the road. But we certainly didn't want to use the Otter Creek Engineering, who's currently doing the permit amendment for the town office, to do any kind of due diligence and planning for the potential down the road of the church. So it's just, this gives the church an option to utilize town land more than anything. They still need to do all their own engineering.
Maybe one option would be to add some language for that easement that requires that any option for a new wastewater disposal system for the church be subject to being approved by A&R or wastewater, the state. Yeah, so that, because that'll limit where they can do it. And it's kind of what everybody's thinking anyway, is that the site will be something where they get approval from the state.
Yep. So be designed to use. Yep. Okay, so we'll ask Kevin to make appropriate changes, and we'll have to come back and we'll take a look at the final easement and start the process and see what we get out of the hearings and what have you. There's always a chance that during the hearings, we'll hear something that will require further refinement of the easement as well. So good?
Good.
All right, thank you. All right. Still no Renee. Is that, I bet that's Renee right there. Hello, who's on the phone? 338. We'll find out.
They're speaking, but they're not coming through.
Oh, is that right? I can't hear them.
Well, no, their avatar picture prints green when they're trying to speak, but nothing's coming through.
Can you unmute them, Steve?
They're not muted.
They're not
I
muted.
just got a note in the chat that says it's Renee McGinnis.
Okay.
That's great, but I need
Yeah,
to.
I'm seeing it.
I don't think I have anything that I can do.
Could she call in by phone directly?
Yes, that's
already by
what she's
phone,
doing.
actually.
what she's doing.
But she's doing it by cell phone. Maybe her reception is not good enough. Maybe, Renee, do you have a landline?
Hey, Steve.
Yes.
Carolyn has a question in the chat. I don't know if you.
Oh, Carolyn, what's up?
I didn't know if we can just talk, or if we had to. I raised my hand earlier for
Sorry.
the question. That's
No,
okay.
no. I apologize. This Zoom stuff is new to all of us.
I get it.
And while Renee sorts out her phone problems, what is it that you wanted to talk about?
Oh, I just raised my hand earlier to make sure that we go back to.
Oh yeah, we're going to. I'm sort of long-waited on Renee.
Okay, and I just didn't know. I didn't know if you were supposed to present something
No,
for
I don't.
the reduction options, or if she was.
I asked her for if she had anything, and she said no. She did not reply. So if she has stuff, we'll have to sort it out.
She
I don't have anything
requested
from
the
her.
agenda item. It's on here at her request. So if she's got something to present, she needs to present it.
Okay, could I ask
And-
something regarding that, or no?
Sure.
I'm wondering if an emergency vote can be put out to the people, the residents of the town. I feel like a lot has changed since the vote went through on March 3rd. Financial situations, work situations. A lot of people are on unemployment, financial aid now from the state, from the government. Free food is being given out at this point in time, and there's a lot of coolers around. And I just think that ethically, an emergency vote should be put out to the residents to see where everyone is at. I understand that school budgets are going to affect our taxes way more than the town hall, but in the same respect, town hall is something that we can control right now. And I think ethically, we need to do that. I think it's the select board's responsibility to come back to the town to see where everyone is at.
Thank you. This is everything that I didn't want to have happen.
I know. Nobody wanted this to have happen. I mean,
No, I
no
was
matter what
responding
side of the
mostly.
coin you're on, no matter what side of the coin you're on, your life has changed since this whole thing has started.
I'm unhappy that Renee is unable to get in.
Steve, should we move on and then
Yeah, we'll move
when
on,
Renee
and
gets
as soon as Renee can hop on, that'd be great. New town offices and library status. There's a few things to talk about here. Number one is I finally did manage to get a post up on the website. I'm sort of giving people an idea of where we're at. We have applied for the bond. That's not applying for the bond, is just sort of the first part of the process. The next part is, they are aggregating. In fact, I was on a call this morning with the Vermont Bond Bank. They have, there's quite a number of people on the call. They have more than enough money, people at loans aggregated to go out. They are hoping, the folks that got in on the winter bond bank had the lowest rate that they'd had on the bond bank in the last 50 years. They're hoping that we will get the same rate coming up. Everything is, the design process is about 4 weeks ahead of schedule. We've moved from design documents from the architect to construction documents. This is the kind of stuff that as these documents get flushed out, our construction manager is able to pull out parts and have a chance to bid those pieces out. We've bid out so far the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing aspects, at least to design build contracts. RVG Electric in Moncton won the electric contract, so that's of interest. They're just putting out the site contract is coming out. They're going out to bid this coming week, I believe. Renee, any luck?
Hey, Steve, this is John.
Yes, John.
I just called in on my phone, but I've muted my computer. Can you hear me speak?
I can.
Yeah.
Okay, so it works. I just did a phone call in and it's working.
Okay.
So I'm going to hang my phone back up.
All right. Thank
But
you.
John, yeah.
Let's see. Will, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Anything else I should add under the new town offices and library status?
No, I think you hit it pretty well. I mean, I think actually the bid package for the civil work that went out last Friday, and that's a big piece of the project estimate. So as Naylor and Breen is able to lock in subcontracts, eventually we'll start to remove some of the contingency. That's a higher percentage on the front end of the job. It's reduced as the various subcontractors get on board. The only other thing you caught it in your update on the website was just that the obviously there's some surveying flags out in the land, but there's some boring that's going to happen with Otter Creek Engineering subconsultant to the architects. That's going to happen here any day. I'm not sure what day they're going to be doing that, but as far as work
I
out in
think
the
it's
field.
the 13th and 14th, Wednesday and Thursday this week.
Mm-hmm.
That's when they're scheduled anyway.
Yep.
Let's see. Emergency management director status re COVID-19. I think you guys have all been reading and keeping abreast of that. We continue to keep our caseload really low. The state legislature has passed an interesting bill, S 344, that the select board might want to visit. It's basically doesn't mean that much to us since it's really geared towards towns that are currently taking in tax revenue. But it allows select boards to change tax rates and or penalties on property tax, late fees and what have you. What I would suggest is that in the next meeting or two, we start to sort of re-dive down into the budget to see where we are and get a handle on it. We don't set our tax rate until August when the grand list is finalized. And then the tax bills go out in September. This is really bumming me out. I don't have anything else on the emergency management.
One thought is if the virus stuff and loss of jobs affects people paying their real estate taxes, can Bill Jost tell us what percentage of the town tax payments come from mortgage companies and are already escrowed, that we will reasonably expect to get that?
Okay, that's an
Like
interesting.
if it's 70%, that's a good thing.
Bill, that may be a little bit of a challenge because those checks come in and we don't have, I'm sure Bill does not necessarily identify checks as to mortgage companies versus personal.
No, he actually gets the mortgage company escrow checks from 3 different companies that do all of that.
It's all electronic.
Yeah, and they all come in like day -1.
All right, well, I'm just saying, just, there might be,
Just in case we need that information.
Yep,
Certainly worth asking him to look into it.
yep, that's it. I
Not-
do know, and it was part of the application process, which has made us, as a town, do quite a number of things, but one was to find the top 5 taxpayers in Moncton. The top ones are Vermont Gas, Velco, Green Mountain Power, the Lane Farm, and the Horwood Farm. So, and it's really Vermont Gas by a lot, and then the 2 utilities by a whole bunch, and then the rest of us back down to earth. Okay, so I would
Steve?
push, yes,
Are you about to move on to a new topic here?
I was, unless you've got, I'm sorry,
I just noticed we have another
call in.
caller that called in. And I was also going to suggest to that first caller, if that is Renee, that maybe she try hanging up and calling back in again. And maybe the second caller can identify themselves and we can see if we're actually able to hear them. Well, didn't hear anything from anybody.
338-6327. We can't hear you.
Yeah, that's, I'm pretty sure that's Renee. I don't.
And the other one just says, call in user 1.
Yep, I don't know.
We've got
Right.
one that might be Renee and another one that's unidentified. So just might as well move ahead, but
Okay. Carolyn, you still got your hand raised? No, okay.
Sorry.
Maybe I know how to lower, there you go, I know how to lower your hand. I'm learning. I had Bill generate a budget status for us, if you guys want to go through that tonight. Let's see. Where do I have that budget status? Where do I have budget status? Do I have budget status?
This is Mary Kate. I just wanted to, I just thought of something. So they did create a hotspot at the school. So that may be a possibility if Renee could get to the school parking lot. Apparently you don't have to sign in anything.
The same with
connect.
right outside town hall. You can get it, and the library.
Yeah, so that might be an option.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's great. Oh, what a pain in the patootie. All right, sorry. Here's our budget status report.
You had said we're about 36% of the way through the year.
Yeah, that was my calculations.
Most things aren't too bad. Salt and sand are up, obviously.
Yeah.
Tires, we're back to tires on the highway because
Yeah.
we never did a separate account. So, or we have a separate account now, but we didn't in the past
That's correct.
because they're already gone through their budget.
And then currently we're showing our current payments to the architect and whatnot are showing up in the building committee line item. Although we've agreed that we're gonna run everything through the Moncton Building Fund. That's how all of that bond payments and what have you will come in through that.
It happened. But I noticed that
He's
bond,
back.
He's coming back.
Yeah.
well, at least his chair's back.
Ron, it said he's the host now.
oh, well,
That was exciting.
there you go. There you go.
My internet crashed. Wow. All right.
Steve, while you were away, it looks like Gary Straight tuned in.
Oh, good. Is that Gary, the call-in user?
No.
Oh, no. Hi, Gary.
No.
Hi, how are you guys?
Good. Hold on half a second, and we'll finish up this budget status report, and then move to you. And we're long waited on Renee.
Great. Will do.
Thank you. Is there anything that's standing out? I didn't see anything in the town hall committee expense is what I was talking about.
Yeah.
By the way, your screen share stopped, Steve.
Well, how about that action?
I just didn't want to have to look at that close-up of you.
No, why would you? How's that? Better?
Yep.
Okay.
If we're getting into specific details on this and you're trying to point something out, are you able to zoom in on that at all?
I can zoom in on stuff.
Okay, I don't need it now unless we're talking about a specific line item.
I can highlight stuff, I think, maybe.
Yeah, it's mostly the size that is an issue. It's coming out kind of blurry on my screen. But I don't need to see the details now unless you're.
Yeah, that's why I sent you a copy.
Yeah.
I don't see anything in particular that's hanging me up. I was actually pretty happy. I thought the highway department was within bounds. Yeah. I'd love to find a way to cut down some of their expenses. They're 3/4 of our budget. Although I think they have a number of large projects coming up this summer.
Yeah.
So I would propose that we have Ben come into our next meeting.
Okay.
Good idea.
Speaking of highway, did they get the truck yet?
No, we have the money ready to shell out.
Okay.
The bank gave us our money, but okay. If there's no other questions on the budget status report, and I'll get another one printed out at our next meeting. I guess I'd like to turn over to Gary Straight, who's asked. We asked to be here just because he's asking to be on the planning commission. Gary, I understand that you attended the last planning commission meeting, and the reviews we got were quite favorable.
That's nice.
There you go. And so do you have like a planning background at all?
Well, if graduating college in '77 with an urban planning degree count, yes.
Well, okay.
Yeah. I don't know what I remember from 1977.
I don't either. But I do remember having a strong interest, but this was a different time. I spent a term in Cincinnati learning all the government things from the regional planning from there. But I I found out quickly I didn't like coloring maps with colored pencils.
Yeah.
And but I know things have changed, and I've been to another meeting. I remember going to my first meeting I went to. I surprised everybody because I don't think anyone had ever visited a meeting before, and and I know Gail from a network group that I'm in Shelburne. So I have talked to her, and I see Ivor walking down Pond Road all the time. So I've gotten to know a few of the people already, and I would like to learn more about the community and doing doing my part, so to speak, if I can.
Yeah. Nice. Are there questions from the board?
Gary, forgive me, I don't know that we've ever met. Have you lived in Moncton for a while now?
Going on about 3 years.
Okay.
I'm from the Finger Lakes of upstate New York.
Ah.
And we moved here because all our kids moved to New England, and now they've all moved in with us. Because but, which is nice. I mean, it's nice. And here I am looking out the window with the snow on the ground. That's kind of amazing. But it's I also look at it as a way to get to know more people in the community too, and I think that plays a part in getting to know what's going on in the community as well.
The Planning Commission, is in the process of, in the final process of having our town plan approved. It has to be approved by by regional, especially the energy portions of our town plan. But when they're done with that town plan, the next piece is actually a pretty tricky piece, which is rewriting the zoning regs to make them conform with the now new town plan. And I know that there have been several people who are anxious to dive into the what's called the zoning regs are called our Unified Planning Document, UPD. But zoning is one of those places where property rights and the interests of the town collide. I mean, that's really to my mind what you're adjudicating with zoning regs. And I'm just interested in I guess your view on where that line would be between property rights and interests of the town. It's a tough question.
Yeah, it is. Boy, I'm not prepared.
No, that's fine.
But what if I had anything to say, what I have picked up on the planning area is how conscious they are of making sure that the region stays kind of pristine in its landscape. I could sense that we're not really looking in this area to put solar farms up, and I can agree with that. And as far as development goes, I understand between 10 and 15 new homes a year are being built in the area. It's a growing area. So I would, not to carry on, but I would like to make sure that it's controlled growth with keeping the landscape still beautiful. So that would be my main intent in joining and being part of the group.
Thank you. I think you'll also discover that the way the Planning Commission works is that everybody gets a little project. So if you end up there, you'll find I don't know what you'll get, but hopefully your interests and what they need will mesh well.
Oh, okay. That's great.
Are there other questions? Paul, got anything?
No, I think he summed it up very well. I like the way you described it. That was a very well spoken explanation of what Moncton really is all about.
Yeah, good. So I guess I would entertain a motion to appoint Gary Straight to the Planning Commission?
So moved by Bill.
I second it.
By Paul. Is there any discussion?
I will just add that this is the term expiring March of 2022.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
So all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 All those opposed indicate by saying nay. And abstentions. All right, there you go, Gary. That was easy enough, huh?
Thank you so much.
All
Look
right,
forward
thank you.
to seeing you all, and
Thanks, Gary.
Yep,
thank you. And is it okay if I get out of your meeting now?
absolutely. All right, thank you.
All right. Have a good evening, guys.
You bet.
Talk to you.
Yep. All right, so I still don't see Renee. It's okay. We have other things to take care of. John, do you know where we are? Have you been in contact with the town attorney about the right of way on Jockey Lane?
I have not heard back from him since I dropped off the sheaf of papers that Sharon had copied for us.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what the next step is.
Yeah.
It's either going to be pay him to research it and try to find the original document, or maybe call around some more and find out where it might be. But we've not had luck finding it in the town records.
But John, can I ask a question? I noticed that there was some billing for legal fees that you were involved with. Was that on the Jockey Lane issue?
That's the only legal thing that I've been involved with anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm just surprised. I just saw a couple of billings for that, which I assumed that there might be some sort of results based on it.
Huh, I haven't dealt with lawyers very often, but that's okay.
Oh, yeah, I do, but they're very kind to me.
I'm gonna mute mine.
Yeah, there you go.
So we had an initial meeting where I just told him, reviewed the problem with him, and gave him a couple of adjacent property surveys. The second time I went down there, it was just shoving a bunch of papers through their mail slot because they're not having people in their office. I haven't heard from him since then, but I assume if there's a bill that's relatively recent, it has to do with him reviewing those documents.
So one of the things that you talked about, John, was having the land surveyed and putting up tithes, some sort of indications where we think that the town right of way is.
The question is, we were kind of waiting for the lawyer to tell us what exactly do we want.
Yeah.
Do we want him to just mark where the center of the road was as of the time he surveyed my property, which happens to be the most recent in the area? Or do we need to go back to the original? And the lawyer said the most straightforward way to do this is to have the original road survey, which so far has not turned up.
Yeah, that was done in 18 something.
Yeah.
One of the experiences that I had when I first moved to Moncton, and my lawyer created a title search for my property, which is it's very eerily similar to what we're trying to accomplish here on Jockey Lane, is the fact that the town of Moncton did not really keep a lot of decent records. And through his research that went back to 1890, he was only able to come up with a few things, and at great cost to me to discover this, but that he had told me that the town had moved the road into my property by 10 feet, and it was nothing that could have possibly been resolved in any, and he told me, he said, there's actually no legal remedy based on the evidence because there's nothing of concrete evidence to determine through the records that we now are accustomed to. And it was sort of like, after, in hindsight, thinking about it, it was a waste of time. It was a waste of a lot of money, because nothing ever got resolved. And I think that we're heading in the same direction with this.
We could be. The people I've spoken to seem to think that the road survey has to exist, but that doesn't mean it actually does.
No, not from my experience with the town of Moncton's record keeping back in the.
So if there is nothing like that, then it would just be basically going back to the recent surveys, and at least the property surveys only show 2 pins, but they don't show a pin or any marker for anything in between those two. And the right of way of the road does bend. The picture of the road shows bends in it, but we don't have any pins or survey waypoints or anything like that to say where they were. It could be that just going with that would be enough, because the main area of contention is right near a known pin, which is now buried. It was either pulled or is now buried under several feet of fill that has been thrown in that area.
Right. I guess my point being is that we may want to find some other solution besides a documentation issue to resolve whatever's going on, because it didn't help me, and I had the best lawyer in the state at the time, and it didn't help me at all. So that's just some suggestion that I got.
Yep. Well, I will talk with the lawyer about, what's our option since we seem to be unable to locate the original survey.
Yep, that sounds great.
Right.
So I am of a mind to allow some of the people who have been sitting around sort of all night waiting to get a chance to talk. I don't really. I'm almost certainly going to push this to our next select board meeting, and work with Renee to make sure that she can get on. But I'd also be willing to. I don't want to spend a ton of time, but I'd be willing to hear from the members of the public that have wanted to talk on this issue. I think we've already heard from Carolyn. Tom Stedman, did you have stuff that you wanted to say?
He's muted right now.
I can unmute him. I thought there you go.
There you go.
Thanks, Steve. I'll thank Carolyn for her comments. I was reviewing, well, I'd like to say you guys do a pretty good job with your minutes. I like seeing so much information in there. The last meeting, I think it was, you were talking about a loan for the new truck. And I was thinking that at town meeting, Steve, you said that you'd paid for that new truck out of the equipment fund.
So yes and no, I guess is a way to say that. We paid for the truck, we didn't pay for the snowplow on top of it. So the entire truck, the whole snowplow and everything was about, off the top of my head, it was $130,000, 140 maybe. So the truck showed up, and we elected to pay for the truck body, if you will, out of the highway capital fund. And then we shipped it off to Viking to get the snowplow put on it and what have you.
I think the dump body as well.
Yeah, the dump body as well. Thank you, John.
So this was a tandem truck, or I thought it was a smaller truck?
No, the new truck.
No, it's a big tandem
One of the big
snowplow
ones.
truck.
Okay. So just getting a loan for the dump body.
Yeah. So we just took out a loan for some $73,000.
Okay.
And we're waiting for Viking to show up and say, I mean, this was a truck that we assumed we were going to have for this winter. And obviously, well, not obviously, but this sort of seems like the last gasp of winter.
Yeah. Okay. That's, I wanted to hear what you were talking about. And Carolyn, keep up the good work. Don't let them discourage you.
There you go. There you go.
They ignored you there, but don't let that bother you.
There you
Okay.
go.
I want to see some 4-1 votes, not all these 5-0.
There you go.
There has to be some dissent there somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, we get in it sometimes, but not very often.
Yeah, I know. I went through the whole year's of minutes, and I gotta congratulate you on the driveway cuts on the old Bird property, even if it was just Bill abstaining.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could go back to see when it was me and Peter Norris. I mean, there were a few tussles back then.
Well, he snuck in for a second. You should have seen it back when I was on there.
Yeah, I bet. I've seen some of those minutes actually.
Well, you do a lot better job with minutes than we did, but
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to see that people are actually reading them.
Yeah.
The amount of time it takes to. So thank you.
Ian, did you have anything to say?
Well, I don't know. I voted for the bond, and I would still vote for the bond today. I don't know what the time to pause is all about. I don't know if you on the select board are hearing from a lot of people who voted for the bond in March and are now saying, oh, wait, I wish I hadn't voted for it. If not, and I don't even know, like, I feel like the time has passed for doing a revote. I think there is like a certain amount of time when that can be requested. But regardless of the legality, I just wonder if the select board has actually heard from people who voted for the bond who are now saying, oh gosh, I wish I hadn't done that. That's all.
All right. Thank you.
My personal opinion, Ian, is that I can only speak for myself. I've spoken with about 15 people in the community. Nobody that I've spoken with, even under the circumstances that we are, is the most horrific times that we're experiencing, regret or change their minds on that. Because I think a lot of times people are you know, their confidence in the future is high. And I think that anybody who survives in society has to look forward to the future in a positive light. And I think that is what I hear more often. And that's not to say that I have not heard some negative votes, negative opinions. And I truly feel very badly for those folks who are going to be decimated by their lack of income from work. I was part of that problem. I have a lot of people that have worked with me, subcontractors, who've lost 3.5 weeks worth of pay because of it. So nobody's going to come and tell me how difficult it is when I have experienced it firsthand. But at the same time, I recognize that we will all pull together and we will make it much better. And we have to have hope. That's all there is to it. So for my point is that the majority of people I spoke to are still behind it. They still recognize that we are not going to collapse into, you know, destitute. We're going to be fine. So that's my opinion.
Yeah.
Steve, can I ask a question? It's Betsy.
Go ahead, Betsy.
I had heard the library is raising money in this some capital fund they have that they hope to use to offset some of the cost of the bond. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, I think Will and I are the two largest contributors, private contributors to it.
So is that money going to be used to reduce the bond amount? And that's my question.
Yeah, I mean, pending they raise enough money.
Oh, okay.
last I heard they were $20,000 or so.
Okay.
But I don't know.
May I ask a question?
Of course, Carolyn.
Thank you. And I understand, I didn't vote for the town hall, but I understand that the majority of people within this town did, and I respect that. And Ian, to address it to you as far as like the statute of limitations kind of situation, I just feel like this is a time where it's just unprecedented. And if you look at the stock market, that, within 20 days, it went down 34%. It's bottoming out. And I understand that, some people will be affected by this financially, some people may not. And I respect all of that. I'm just asking for a revote at this point in time to see if people are still on board with it. If the majority still rules and everyone wants it, absolutely. That's democracy at its best. I just know that there's a financial situation here. It's an emergency. And people may not vote the same way. That's my point. But if a revote does occur, an emergency vote does occur, and it's still, yes, we're going to pass this, then by all means.
All right, thank you.
This is John.
Yes, John.
I'd say my experience has been similar to Paul's. I've talked to between 15 and 20 people, and everyone I've spoken to, basically nobody has changed their mind. The ones who were against it are still against it. The ones who are for it are still for it.
Right.
Some of them wouldn't tell me, but some of them I know just because I know them personally and I know which way they were arguing coming up to the vote. So I assume they voted the way they were arguing. But the other factor to consider is that at this point, if we stop, the taxes this year are likely to be higher than if we go ahead and get the bond and proceed.
And I understand that. I understand that it might go for a tax increase this year, but everyone has gotten a $1,200 stimulus this year. Yeah. And I think that there is a bill that's on the governor's desk that might lower taxes or give an abatement to taxes that will give the towns the option of an abatement for property taxes. I believe that that's on the governor's desk as well. And I understand that this year it may increase taxes, but with the potential abatement and the stimulus check combined, this year we understand that. But if you look at what the education budget may be within the next coming years, I mean, someone posted about the education board today on Front Porch Forum, and I think they said that Vermont is looking at a $69 million deficit in the education tax. What is that going to do in future years? Yeah. So yes, $40,000 is a lot of money. $40,000 we've already spent. That money is already gone. So the bond, the $40,000, you guys were planning on taking that from the bond and replenishing the general fund. So I understand that, but if you look at $40,000 versus $1.7 million over the next few years, and
20,
under normal circumstances, I understand this wouldn't be a decent request at all. These are not normal circumstances. And if you have faith that the vote will be the same, then there shouldn't be any harm in putting it back out.
Thank you. And Jason Towsley is noted as being here. Jason, do you have anything to say?
I'd like to just echo what Carolyn says. She said it way better than I could, but like, I did vote against it. Everybody I know voted against it. So I can't say that the people I know changed their mind, or, saying that the people that you still talk to, they're probably people that are going to agree with you either way. And as far as hope for the future goes, I mean, if you can pay your taxes in hope, then we could do that. But it doesn't seem like, I mean, I'm hopeful for the future. I'm not even really affected by this whole thing. So, you know, I don't, to me, it's not going to, I'm not going to lose my house or anything like that. But I just feel bad for the people who are really upset right now because they haven't had a paycheck for 4 weeks and may not have a job to go back to when they're done. And somebody wants, you know, not somebody, the town has voted for a new town hall that they will have difficulty chipping in for.
Thank you. And then call-in user, I don't know if you've had a chance to weigh in at all. All right, I hear none.
Steve, could I interject again?
Please.
I just, what Carolyn was saying there, John's talking about sounds like you're talking about you spent $40,000 on this, and that's going to raise the taxes. What effect would it have if the delinquents go up by 200–300%?
So that's an interesting question. The real answer to that is we would have to take out a bigger tax anticipation notice than we would normally. But aside from that, so when taxes are delinquent, if somebody doesn't pay their taxes in November and they still haven't paid them in December, we note their taxes as being delinquent in December, and that becomes basically shows up as a deficit in the general fund and a revenue. So we always, the town always gets paid property taxes unless we abate property taxes for some reason. So the vanilla answer to your question is, let's just say the town were to waive or decrease our late fees for property taxes, which are, to be honest, pretty tough right at the moment. And if we were to do that in property taxes, were quite a bit higher. I mean, we've had property delinquent taxes over $250,000 in our past, in the not too distant past, 2016, it seems to me. But the town always gets paid back property taxes, as I say, unless we do abatements. People either pay their taxes back, which is almost always what happens, because eventually the town goes to tax sale, and their property is sold for at least the back taxes owed. And then,
well, Steve, I spent a number of years as delinquent tax collector. Probably Bill's the only one who might have been around back then. I took over from George Hobart when he, and it was really a mess.
Yep.
Delinquents had been neglected for ever and ever. And select board asked me my wife's uncle Bill Parks was a selectman, and I'm telling you, we caught him up, and it was a very excruciating, painful time for people. So I'm well aware of just what it's like. I think I did it 5-6 years.
Yeah.
And, when you know, there's a lot of ways to do it, and you're talking about relaxing, you know, the interest or whatever. I think you already have some of the stuff we put in back then to try to get people to pay their taxes on time.
I think right now it's if you are more than a week late, it's a 3%, and then it's a 1.5% per month for 6 months, and then 1% a month after that. I mean, am I close, Bill? You're waving. No. Anyway.
Well, I actually went to Montpelier with with a bunch of other tax collectors, and we got them to change the interest rate from 1% to 1.5%
Yeah.
per month. And we did quite a few things there. We did a lot of other things too in town. You know, we changed the listing. I could go on and on, but we changed a lot of stuff that just wasn't right. And if Pete Wendland or Charlie Heisinger were around, they'd remember some of that because they were the listers back then, and the listing had been terribly neglected. And so anyway, it's not going to be pretty because there's going to be a lot of people with delinquent taxes, and the lawyers will be happy because they'll be able to do the tax sales. But those of us who are going to have to move aren't going to be very happy.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm not really interested in, you know, tax sales. There are people who are constantly delinquent in their taxes, and one of the things that you don't want to see happen, and the reason why we do tax sales on a 2 or 3 year basis, although they're very laborious for the town and actually expensive for the town, because notes say nothing really goes to tax sale, but we end up paying the lawyer fees, is to make sure that people don't get 2, 3, 4 years behind in their taxes, because they're paying. It's like being, you know, it's like trying to carry $8,000 or $10,000 in credit card debt. It'll kill you. So anyway, but I think we're well off the beaten path, and so so for our next, I will go back to Renee, see if we can work out her Zoom issues, and if she still has stuff that she would like to present to the select board, we'll put it on our next agenda.
Steve, can I ask a quick question about that before you move on?
Sure.
So, and it's my understanding that if it's past time legally for a recall of the vote, if I'm wording that correctly. Yeah. So what Carolyn is asking for, I'm assuming then would be a non-binding. It would have to be a non-binding vote.
No, you could ask. You could the select board or the citizens of Moncton with sufficient signatures could ask for a special town meeting.
Oh, okay.
You know, if they had their druthers.
Okay.
That's always a possibility. But you're right. There was a 30 days after a given vote where it's, I think it's 5% can petition to reconsider the vote, reconsider the election. Okay, so I'm going to move from that. Is there any other old business that we want to take up? I apologize to Mary Kate already that I haven't reviewed the town credit card policy that she sent.
We'll get that done.
Yeah, we will. Anything else on there?
Is salvage yards a dead issue until the state moves at this point, or?
That's correct. I mean, yes, I think it is. We can ask Chris to come to our next select board meeting and, you know, grill him, but I don't think it's a tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, was there something on appointments that we were going to discuss under other business? I forget what it was.
Animal control?
Yeah, we had it. Right.
We haven't quite gotten to other yet. He's still trying to clean up old.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay. Yep.
But I think I'm ready for other business. Is there other business to come before the board?
So, Steve, are you going to try and reach her at her work tomorrow? Do you want me to?
That would be awesome if you would give Chittenden Humane Society a call. See if she is still on staff and if she'll talk to you.
Okay. I know the Humane Society is closed except Tuesday, so I'll call her tomorrow.
That sounds great. And I guess that brings up the piece that I wanted to talk about under other business. we did not, I finally stopped at the town hall. Buried in our select board folder was a contract for Homeward Bound. That's the Addison County Humane Society. Normally, that contract runs from April 1st to March 31st. This document was dated March 10th. Normally, we pay, the $450 option where we get the first 3 stray dogs that we bring down there free. I don't think we've ever run into any issue with that at all. It's not on the agenda. If I'm perfectly willing to wait 2 weeks, and I'll put it on our next agenda.
I'd recommend we do that anyway, because if this person is actually willing to be the animal control officer,
yeah,
and she works for the Humane Society of Chittenden County,
yeah,
she may much prefer that we use them if she's going there to work anyway.
That's an interesting point.
So I mean, be at least worth. If she doesn't answer, then fine, we'll go ahead and sign it. But by next meeting, if we can't get in touch with her, we got to move along.
It's $400. Also on dog issues, we've had 2 calls in the past 2 days. Everything's been quiet, but we got a call about vicious barking dog on Jockey Lane. And then we got a call about some guy who thinks he hit a white dog on Mountain Road and has sustained damage to his car, and he'd like to find out who owns the white dog. I was like, really not town business. But those were the 2 calls we got.
Yeah.
You haven't responded to the email was one of them from Jockey Lane.
I have not.
Do we have any response other than we heard what you're saying? We're having trouble getting in touch with our ACO, and
yeah, and we could give that the person the person who they said owned the dog. We could give that person a call. I mean, that's generally what the ACO does to begin with.
Yeah, I guess. But if you're not officially the ACO, you can't issue a.
No, you can't issue a citation
or whatever. Just
no.
Give them a call and drop off a.
Yep. It seems to me like you're right close to Jockey Lane.
Yeah, I'd be happy to drop off a copy of the thing and give them a call if I can dig up a number.
Okay.
I didn't know if anybody has any issues with my doing that, since I'm already sort of involved in the boundary dispute between those same 2 landowners.
Oh, is that the same landowner?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. You don't think there might be a little bit of too much for you to do, John?
I don't mind doing it. I just don't know if it's going to,
I don't want it to boil over. Now you're a neighbor approaching a neighbor about a dog complaint.
Yeah.
That's
you might
not right.
want to stand. You might want to stand back from that.
Yeah, stand clear. Any other board members feel like taking that one up?
I'm not good with people with dogs. I've been bitten too many times. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. All right. I'll see if I can. I'll give them a call anyway and see if I can start the process.
Feel free to give me a buzz if you want the background on the other situation before you touch base with them, in case it blows up into that. Or
no, that's all right. I'm not.
Or if it involves an in-person visit and you want somebody to come along.
Again, you're too close to it already. I just don't want. Things get weird.
Yeah.
Around properties, property rights, and stuff like that.
But if this is just a one-time incident, should we wait till there's actually a history here, or is this just?
No. It's always a good idea to sort of like, you get a complaint, you say, hey, you know, here's the dog ordinance, take a look at it, and, you know, we just assume this not happen again, and that's easy.
Yeah, all right, that's fine.
Yeah, it's not none of us has the authority to issue a citation, so it's just a chat and making them aware of the rules.
Right.
And then we also have something, in our minutes that they've been spoken to about it.
Right, but sometimes it's just a one-time incident that you don't want to have to create a town issue that makes people believe that the government is going over their, crawling over their back.
Yeah.
That's all. I mean, sometimes, let's figure this out. We got a pandemic going on. People are bound in. They're stressed out. You sort of have to take that into consideration.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm operating on about 25% these days.
Me too.
Okay. Is there other business?
I got one other thing.
Yes, John.
Green Up Day coordinator.
Oh.
We don't have one. It's at the end of this month. Tomorrow, I'm going to pick up supplies.
Yes, I was going to remind you.
At 10 o'clock tomorrow, I'm going to pick up the bags and whatever else they hand out.
Yeah. You should get 3 posters, bags, and some gloves, I hope.
Yeah, so I offered to pick it up just because the lady was looking for somebody from Moncton, and I said, we don't have a coordinator, and I said, I'm not volunteering to coordinate. We'll pick it up just so that we have it available if we find one between now and then.
I actually, my name sits up there at the moment. To be honest with you, Green Up Day coordination, as far as I think it's going to be this year, if they in fact do Green Up, is you sit in town hall with a mask on, or not sit in town hall, and say, pick off the route you want and take as many bags and gloves as you want.
Exactly.
I was actually thinking of hanging a map in the little bus stop in the lower parking lot at MCS.
That's a hell of a good idea.
Hang a map there, leave the bags, leave the gloves, and but we do that ahead of time, or at least put the map up ahead of time and say, mark off on the map what part you're claiming, and we'll have the bags there the day before or whatever the heck time we're going to.
We could leave the bags and the gloves like in the Boy Scout box or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe even have the scouts get involved in this.
Well, that was going to be my suggestion. Maybe contact George and Karen to see if the older scout groups would be interested in doing it.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
I'm not volunteering my troop.
I'll call George.
I can ask. Oh, you're going to call him? Okay.
Yeah, I'll call George. I've got a couple questions for him anyway, because we're dealing with some things with the rec committee right now.
Yeah.
And I assume we have a digital copy, like we could print off a big copy of
the town
road map or something.
Yeah.
Just do a poster size and hang it up someplace. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm planning on picking that up. Hopefully we'll have somebody by the time the day actually rolls around.
Okay. Oh, another, yeah. All right. Good. Is there any other business to come before the board? Our next meeting will be on the 25th of May, 7 o'clock.
Memorial Day.
I'm sorry?
That's Memorial Day.
Does anybody have trouble making that meeting? You're not going anywhere.
I might be traveling. I don't know. I'm good.
Oh, hey, I'm going to just bring up something under other business because it popped up. Pete Norris suggested that if as we build out the new town offices, that we move the war memorials from in front of the Grange to be in front of the new town offices. I mean, there's lots of people to talk to. I actually think that were that to be seriously considered, I might want town meeting to weigh in on it, but
yeah,
Shouldn't we also talk to Eric about that as well, though?
Yeah, sure. Eric
It's on his
and the
property.
Historical Society. I mean, there's all kinds of
Right.
people, but I just
Yeah.
thought I'd pass it by
Oh,
you to see if anybody said absolutely not, so.
Oh, no. Let me take it to Eric and the Historical Society, because I'm actually working with them right now on
the
the
Borough
Moncton
Schoolhouse.
Borough Schoolhouse. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll talk to Eric about it and the Historical Society and see what they think is an appropriate way of going about that.
Okay.
Does
That's
that need to be updated? Does it only memorialize people who have died in the line of duty or people who have served?
People have died, and I think it's like, I don't even remember which wars.
So I say I doubt the Iraq wars are on there.
No.
No, it's like the Korean War and,
I think the Korean War was the last one that I recall, but I haven't seen it in like 10 years.
yep. Okay, so our next meeting is
All right.
May 25th, 7 o'clock. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, we're adjourned. Carolyn, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
You bet.
Thanks, Carolyn.
Yep. Thanks,
Jason.
guys.
All right, good night, everybody.
Good night,
Right.
all.
Night.